This is part 2 of going through the Homeland Security biannual report on COVID. We left off at environmental stability, where Omicron subvariants BA1 and BA2 were stable on plastic for approximately 141 hours and on skin for 13 hours if not disinfected, which is why taking those showers and baths with soap and water is what you need to do. In the absence of sunlight, COVID can persist on surface for weeks, and COVID survival in the air is highly dependent on the presence of UV light and temperature, where it can survive on these non-porous surfaces better at cooler temperatures that are less humid. And COVID can persist for at least 2 weeks at refrigerated temperatures, remaining infectious for over 30 days. And when temperatures are even colder, so frozen foods, COVID can remain infectious for at least 30 days, and this is when it's stored at negative 20 degrees Celsius. COVID has even been found on frozen food packaging, and while it cannot be directly linked to this, there have been several outbreaks with a hypothesized food origin. Interestingly, COVID contaminated wastewater may also cause infections in areas where poor waste management happens. Essentially, the landfill leaches into the soil, and the virus can be transmitted to humans via pollution. When looking at PPE in hospital settings, contacts with healthcare workers tend to transmit COVID more often than other casual contacts, and infection was higher when healthcare workers were exposed to an infected coworker than when they were exposed to patients. In a meta-analysis, N95 respirators were found to be beneficial for reducing the occurrence of respiratory illnesses in healthcare workers, including influenza and COVID. Though only surgical masks were effective for influenza, this was insufficient for COVID. N95s were associated with up to an 80% reduction in COVID infections. Furthermore, mask fit is another critical component of effectiveness in addition to filter efficacy, so a well-fitted N95 is the way to go.